My next parameter that I need is that zoom level. And we zoomed in just enough to see the whole state in this particular window. I'm not going to move anything. And to get that zoom level, it's going to be a number between 1 and 20. Google assigns that number based on 1 being as far zoomed out as possible, and 20 is as far zoomed in as possible. So if you want to get very, very close, you're going to have a higher number, and it's going to be an integer between 1 and 20. So we've set our map here at a decent zoom level. We can still see the whole state in the window. To get that number, we're going to go up to the top here. There's a button tab, link this map. And if I click on that, we're going to cheat and see what the zoom level is. You can ignore most of what's on this page, but if you look at mygeoposition.com here, in this URL is the zoom level that we're looking at. So if you look at this portion of the URL, it says zoom level equals 6. So in this case, 6 is our zoom level that we're interested in. So now we have made a note of that. We've made a note of our longitude and our latitude. The final parameter I talked about is the state abbreviation. If we're embedding Colorado here, that would be CO. And we're going to go ahead and add it to a fancy website address that we have coded for you. So I'm going to come up to the top, and I'll type in the web address here, but we will send it out to you so you can see about adding this yourself.
The other thing I just want to note while Kate is typing in the address is that Kate has put together a whole guide on how to do this, complete with almost a worksheet so you can write down the different things that you need to write down, and steps you through. And we'll send it out to everybody at the end of this call so you'll have a copy of that and can go through. So if you're lost or starting to feel lost, don't worry. You'll get a guide that sort of puts this all in text form.
Great. So as I'm typing in the address here, you can start to see where I'm typing in the information that I just collected. I'm setting a latitude and a longitude based on these values that I got here. I'm going to set a zoom level to 6 based on what we got from the Link This Map page. And that final step was the state that I'm centering and zooming into. And in this case, it's Colorado. So I've typed in those parameters here. And just to show you, again, we'll send you this written out, but there's a few pieces. Here's the latitude, and I also have the longitude here. And I've set the zoom level here, 6. And finally, the state, Colorado. And when I click Enter at this point, you're going to see a preview of what the map will look like when it's embedded on your website. We'll press Enter. And this is a preview of what Colorado's embedded web code is going to display on Colorado's website when they're ready to embed the map. As you can see, it's done a couple of things for us. It's the embedded map. So on the side, I have a legend. It's centered on the state of Colorado based on the latitude and the longitude that I entered in the URL. It's set a zoom level to 6 based on this parameter, and it's searched only for projects that are entered in the state of Colorado. So you see those projects on the side and on the map. Now this looks a little zoomed out. If I were the state of Colorado, I want to zoom in a little bit more so I can play around on this page to test whether or not everything's working. So if I go up to the top to the zoom portion of the website address, I mentioned that 1 through 20 are the values I can enter, and I want to zoom a little closer in, so I'm going to increase that number. And let's just go ahead and say 8. Let's zoom in 2 zoom levels. And let's see what loads. Well, that looks a little too close. So I'm going back up to the URL, and I'm going to say 7. Somewhere between 6 and 8. And that looks a little bit better. I can see the whole state of Colorado. It's zoomed in enough without cutting anything off. I can see my Colorado projects on the side. If I wanted to center it a little bit more, I can tweak the latitude and longitude values. The most important part of this is that you don't want to add any spaces in between these values. I've included the minus sign in front of the longitude value. So as I mentioned, that's the URL that we're going to put in the iframe to embed it on the web page. So Connecticut designed their URL centering zooming and searching based on Connecticut. And they put it in a 2-line piece of code that we provided, and we'll provide you, that declares an iframe and tells the iframe to look for that personalized web address. We, in that code, set the width and the height to 850 pixels. So if you look on Connecticut's web page, what you're seeing is 850 by 850 pixels. That's about what it looks like. And you can go from there. So there's a couple of steps. It seems a bit touch and go, but it's fairly simple. And to prove our point, we let the University of Rhode Island NEMO program play around with it, and they were able to center, zoom, and search for only Rhode Island projects and embed it on their website as well within a handful of minutes. So this is the University of Rhode Island's web page with their embedded map. This map also happens to be 850 pixels by 850 pixels. Again, you can change that if you need to, but we find that's just enough space to open a balloon and allow your viewers to see everything on the website. So again, if you have the space, this is definitely a way to personalize the National Low Impact Development Atlas while getting real-time data straight from the database and putting it on your website so no one has to leave your website as soon as they find their way to your website. Again, one of the limitations is that there's no search field as in the National LID Atlas, but there is a link that viewers can open, search the national map, and they have full access to the National LID Atlas and all the search engines there. So having gone through all that, again, we have all this typed out, and I have that 2-line piece of iframe code that you need if you're interested in doing that.